Hello. Welcome to the dual personality Aromage deck profile. Though Aromages lack the high aggression and consistency more popular decks offer, they make up for this with their versatility, field control potential, and convenient spot removal. Let's start with the monsters. Aromage Bergamot serves as the deck's primary main deck beater. The piercing damage is always an upside, and the secondary effect allows this card to trade well with almost any large monster, including Epiclip or Towers. Running 3 felt fitting, though you could certainly get away with running 2 or even 1. Next up is Aromage Rosemary. While the first effect isn't particularly useful, since it doesn't protect against traps, it still doesn't hurt to have. The second effect is where it's at, allowing you to more or less negate an attack every turn as long as you have a reactive life gain card, which, spoiler alert, you usually will. This card is especially nice to open with, so I run 3. Yugioh acts as both a field presence dude, and a reactive life gainer that activates Aromage effects. Running 3 felt like a given, but due to its role as a tech card, you could justify only running 2, 1, or even none depending on your build. Aromage Kananga plays an interesting, albeit less exciting role. The first effect isn't half bad, but doesn't usually save this card from being run over by pretty much anything with 2000 or more attack. The second effect is a bit of a toss-up in terms of usefulness. Sometimes it could bounce a problematic continuous card, or simply bounce a face-down trap that could wreck your field. Kananga is generally mediocre, but still worth running 3 of in this build for the options it gives. Lone Fire Blossom just kind of works. It can search out any Aromage monster, namely Bergamot. This card allows this deck to consistently have the answers it needs in any given situation. Yugioh helps this deck out dramatically, allowing you to compete with faster decks, namely pendulum decks. It also allows you to synchro for Ancient Sacred Wyvern, though that rarely happens. Aromage Jasmine likes to give you things, namely, extra summons, which are sometimes useful, and, more importantly, card draws. What's cool with this is that you can stack multiple copies of Jasmine to draw multiple cards. Think of the value. Aromage just fits well here. Stalling out, though usually not for more than 1 turn, and activating Aromage effects every freaking turn. 3 works well in this build, though any number could be justified. People usually frown on Golden Ladybug in this deck, but it usually works quite well. Not because it activates Aromage effects, which it does, but because it helps keep your life points ahead of your opponents. There are obviously other cards you could run instead, but 2 Golden Ladybugs are what I chose to round out the monsters with. Now for the spells. Ancient Leaf can either be awful, as a top deck when you're behind, or excellent in your opening hand. Either way, I like running 2. I like to live dangerously, after all. This can, of course, be replaced with any other 2 generic support spells. Possibly Duality? Aroma Garden is just flat out great. It activates Aromage effects, buffs attack, and helps put your life points ahead. Can you even imagine anything else this card even needs to be good? Yeah, I didn't think so. Admiral Akbar was right, it is a trap. Mirror Force is nicely suited for the current meta, but any other 3 defensive traps would do here. Dry Wind is just cool. Destroy a face-up monster every turn with a side order of occasional board wipe? Sign me up. The consistency of running 3 is really nice as well. Moist Wind is also pretty cool, but in a different way. Add in Aromage, with occasional life gain to activate Aromage effects. I'm signing up for everything today. The natural synergy makes running 3 of these pretty worthwhile. And finally we come to the extra deck. I'm slightly saddened to say that there's nothing too flashy here. Hell, this deck rarely needs the extra deck, except for the occasional Castle. Wyvern is really the only notable card here, and even he almost never hits the field. That brings us to the end of the deck profile. If you've taken your Zer deck today and want a fun-to-play combo deck, Aromages are definitely for you. This is Malevolent Disembodied AI voice signing out.